Hi folks, I'm going to do a demonstration here of the process that I use for doing convex edges on a Wicked Edge Gen 3 Pro. Let me just adjust my camera a little bit here. I've got a Gen 3 Pro that taken out the shelf unit underneath it, so it's laying flat on my table here. I made a few mods to it. I've got some micro adjusts that I made for it that extend the adjustment. I get about plus or minus 2.5 degrees on these things, so I can have as much as 5 degrees difference from one side to the other. But otherwise, for the most part, it's pretty standard. What I've done here is I've got a 7.5-inch Chicago Cutlery chef's knife, and so far I've sharpened it up to 600 grit. And I'm going to demonstrate how I would take it from there to a convex edge. Let's take a look at the edge right now where we're at. And this is a 600 grit edge. If you can see it, these are two flat primary bevels going to the apex. And we're going to take it from there. Now, this has been set at 17 degrees. I wanted a really, really nice sharp edge. And there certainly are advantages to going below 20 degrees, although 20 is a really good standard to use for daily use. It seems to stand up quite a bit better than the more acute angles. Okay, at 17 degrees and with the blade being as wide as it is, as tall as it is, I've got my Gen 3 Pro set at the detent at the 23 mark, and with my micro adjust set where they are, I'm at 17 degrees. Now what I'm going to do is from here on I proceed as if I'm going to sharpen the same bevel with 800 grit as the same process that I've used up to this point. And with my setup, I've got my paddles are set up custom, and I've got the 600 and 800 on the same handles, and I always do the lower grit is always going to be down and towards me, and the higher grit is always down and away from me. I really prefer the edge leading process because it tends to do less damage to the edge. Okay, so I had been using about 15 strokes on the 600 grit to get to the apex, and now I'm going to go to the 800. So we'll try 15 strokes and see where it goes. Okay, I'm going to clean the dust off and we'll take a look at it, see where we're at. And as you can see, I've pretty much erased the scratches from the previous grit. Now they're going all down and away from me. I'm going to the left there. And if I go on to the other side, you'll see I have a similar bevel. And same amount of strokes taken there to remove all the scratches. Okay, now with this grid I'm going to start my my convex process. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take one step down, and I'm going to take 3 strokes. Now let's go 4 strokes with each step. This goes really fast with the Gen 3 Pro because I don't have to do any angle setting at all after that. this is my final step. I'm at the 19 detent, and my the angle is about 13.6 degrees. So I've with each step I've taken out about a little over 0.4 degrees. And with that, now I finished this 600 and the 800s. I'm going to go back to my 1000 grits now. And return back to my 23rd detent. Okay, before I start that though, let's take a look at what I have wrought here. And you can barely see any trace of any facets to this bevel now. And there's about a 3 1/3 degree change in the angles, and they're nice and they're blended together really, really well. Now I'm going to start out with the 1000 grit, but when I make the step up to the next grit, what I'm looking for is I need to refine the edge. So the quality of the edge is more important than the width of the facet at this point. So while I'm at the apex, I'm going to take a few more strokes. So rather than 4, I'm going to go back to the 15 that I had with the other one. And but they'll be light strokes, and the 1000 certainly doesn't remove nearly as much material as the 800. Okay, before I go to forming the convex, let's take a look at the edge, because we should have a clear facet at the apex there, and you can see that there's a pretty clear distinctive line between the 1000 grit that I'm doing and the traces left from the 800 at the lower settings. Okay. And the same thing on the other side. But now I'm going to make the step down, and I'm only going to go 3 strokes per facet now. We're going to speed things up a little bit here. There is no intent to create a mirror-like edge. I want to get a polished edge, but I'm not interested in removing every little scratch. They're not hurting me at all. Regardless of the scratches that you have on it, you're still going to have a very, very effective cutting edge. Even with the scratches present on there. And you can see this goes really quite quickly. You don't have to put a lot of work into it. And I'm not paying attention to any angles because I'm relying on the detents for the Gen 3 Pro to put me where I want to be, and that is in a repeatable position each time. Okay, that is at the bottom detent, around 13.6 degrees. Let's take a look at that bevel and see what we've done to it. And now you can see that it blends in very nicely from one to the other. There's almost no distinction between facets. And we'll go over and take a look at the other side, and it's the same thing. Okay, now we're going to go to the 1500. I'm going to go back up to the 23rd detent. And here we go down and away. And here I'm doing the 15 strokes again. Okay, now that should give me convex bevels on either side up to the 1500 grit. Let's take a look at it. And you can see that let me see if I get a little bit clearer focus here. Got a nice radiused edge there. Same thing on the other side. I'm going to go back to the 23rd detent, and I'm going to change to my 6 micron diamond film. Now, since this is the coarse grit on these handles, my normal procedure is to go either with a diamond stone, I would come down and towards me. With a film, I'm going to go up and away from me. Okay, so I'm going to take, actually I'm going to go more than the normal number of strokes generally, just simply because I want to refine that edge. I hope you're counting strokes because I'm not. Oops, wrong grit here. There we go. Okay. Now I'll go down one. The diamond film grits will give you a much better clarity as to the quality of the convex edge when you see it, because you're starting to form something approaching a mirror finish. Okay, let's take a look at this one. This is a 6 micron. By my chart up here, 6 micron is around 3,000 grit, roughly the equivalent of it. And now you can see, as the light is reflected off that edge, you can see how it transitions fairly smoothly from one point to another. It's showing you that it's actually a true radius as opposed to a multiple facets. There's a little bit of it shown in here, but it's coming together. Let's go and do the finishing grit. I normally finish my my kitchen knives at 3 micron, and we'll give that a try here. Before I transition into the convex steps, let's take a look at this and see if there's a difference we can see at the apex. And you can see it's a little more polished up there. And all we've done is we've done the 3 micron in addition to the 6 micron, and that's where you see the difference there. Now this one, I didn't quite hit the apex there. Maybe a little angular error there in the way I was holding the stone, or maybe the way the thickness of the stone at that point. But we're going to go on down and hit it the half step at a time. And here we go. I knew this was going to be a bit of a tedious video, so I'm kind of hurrying along here. Bring this thing to a conclusion here pretty quick. Normally I'd take quite a bit more time. I'm a little handicapped in terms of the coordination on my right hand, so that's why the purpose of putting my left hand here is it gives me an orientation. I know where my fingers are at. Okay. Now we'll go here. And I'm going to call it a day at that. Let's take a look at it and see what have we produced here. Now, looks like I moved the knife quite a bit out of the vise position. I was really hammering on it. That may account for why that one edge wasn't quite as polished. Okay, but at any rate, you can see it. Okay, here we go. If you had a flat facet there, you would see the lights flashing as I went through that angle. But with this, with a convex, you see a smooth transition of the light reflection as you go across the edge there. And that's exactly what we're seeing here. So you know that we've produced a very nice convex edge. This is going to be a really sharp knife, And I hope you've gotten something out of this, because I think that the Gen 3 Pro is just a wonderful device for doing this sort of thing. This is Veterans Day 2018. Wishing best lives for my fellow veterans out there. Have a good evening and sleep well. Good night.